Hello, Sonny. It's really
Hello.
great. It's really great to have you come on to the Dark City Radio. It really is, honestly. I don't really know all that much about what's happening in your country. I've learnt a fair bit and been watching some horrific scenes unfold on the internet. And in fact, some of them have just really broke my heart in some ways. I found really hard to bear. Watching what's happening to the young children and little babies being washed up. I just want you to know that the majority of the British people, a hell of a lot of the British people, are with you, and we don't want this to be happening. And I just want you to know that, and to just do the best that you possibly can to be there for each other, to support each other, and to build a new life that you possibly can, and know that the world is behind you and the world is with you. That's what I want you to know.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Actually, your words actually very valuable. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on and sharing with us. It's so good to have you on and hear your side. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That was very beautiful. Yeah, and I want to add, Sonny, that I support you. I support the people of Syria. Just keep the faith and the love, and before you know it, all this might blow away. But it's going to take a long time to repair this. But with much love, we can help. Yeah. And I really truly I want to thank the people of Syria. I'm sorry that all this is going on right now, and I just wish that all this would go away. Okay.
Hi, Max. Hi, Sonny.
Hi.
I'm also from the UK. It's been really enlightening listening to your experiences, and I'd just like to reiterate what Sarah says, that there are lots of people here who are aware and becoming more and more aware of the situation in Syria, and you coming on and talking about your experiences and how you see things in Syria really helps Max in America and everybody around the world who listens to Dark City Radio, because they can pass on your experiences of what's really happening, and we don't often hear that, and so we really appreciate you being here, and I hope you can send our love from the streets and the people in our country to Syria, and let them know that we're here.
Thank you very much, Fabrice. That was touching, actually. Thank you. I just want to say something about the Syrians and about this crisis of Syrian refugees. Maybe a lot of things are not actually clarified to people out there around the world. They keep saying that about more than 10 million Syrians are in Europe and in the world as refugees now. And when the UN conducts a census, an accurate one of course, in order to know how many Syrians there since 5 days till now, it turns out that only 400,000 Syrians are there. The others are pretending to be Syrian, either by forging some papers or stealing some passports from Syrians, or taking the deceased or killed Syrians' passports and papers, pretending to be Syrians, while they are either from Sudan, Nigeria, Afghanistan, Iraq, everywhere else except Syria. The UN said those immigrants, refugees coming to Europe, only about 20% of them are Syrians, actually. And I just want to say and thank all of these nations who actually opened their doors to embrace Syrians. I can't thank you from here, and I can't say or do anything except being grateful for your help. But that item, that piece of news should be known for you, that not all of these out there are Syrians. They are a mixture, actually.
And that's important, especially for the people here in Europe, to know and understand that, because the other thing, I guess, is what kind of effects are there, sort of day to day, for people in the different places in Syria, in terms of getting food and water and power and being able to live your lives.
Yeah, actually everything is getting more expensive in relation to food and electricity. But when Russia came, things got better, actually. Now Russia today will be the day number 55. Electricity is okay. The prices are getting less. There's some kind of control here. And we still lived, guys. We can manage this, I guess.
And so, I guess the more the world in general is able to be responsive in a positive way to the people of Syria, hopefully that situation won't get any worse. And it sounds like having the Russians securing and stabilizing Syria has obviously helped alleviate some of that pressure to stop price rises and things becoming scarce. But you mentioned oil a little earlier. Is that flowing out through Turkey? Because it's something which is almost not spoken about. Turkey is a NATO member and an American ally. And the oil in Syria must be going somewhere if it's being sold on the open market. So, from your perspective, where do you feel the oil is going, and who do you think is enabling it to flow out of Syria?
Actually, there are international companies and firms dealing with oil are sponsoring the thefts of these rats, ISIS. They steal it from Raqqa. Raqqa, in the middle of Syria, has the majority of the oil reserve in the entire oil of Syrian oil. I mean, when ISIS came about 2 years ago and took hold on Raqqa, they started right away, and the companies and the firms were ready to the north in the Turkish lands in order to drain this oil, and they sell it. There have been a lot of rumors that who's involved in this in buying this stolen oil are both now and as for what I think, this is my perspective here, what drove Turkey mad, because Russia posted a lot of videos lately about destroying a lot of convoys. I mean, trucks filled with oil, and they were directed to Turkey. Russia destroyed all of these convoys. That drove Russia crazy, and they downed this jet yesterday.
And so that affected how much the Turkish were able to get their oil, I guess, or the oil that was flowing through Turkey. Without those convoys, and with Russia coming in and blowing them up, that's obviously made a difference, and they were bound for Turkey. So do you think that's why the Russian aircraft that was shot down was as a response to the Russians affecting ISIS's flow of oil through Turkey.
Yeah, I think so, because that happened directly after posting the third video from the Russian Defense Ministry. They posted this third video, and actually it is amazing, because you don't believe the amount of this oil that has been stolen from Syria. Myself, I was dazzled when I saw these convoys, and definitely that affected everything. And I think that someone pushed Erdogan, the Turkish president, pushed him to commit such idiocy. This is what I think.
It does sound, as you mentioned, that ISIS are perceived as very, very brutal, and violence is done for violence sake. And if they're being supported by the Turkish financially, and they're a NATO member, and if they're the sort of people who are shooting at airmen, the Russian pilots, while they were in the air, which is against the Geneva Convention. It's against Article 42 of the Geneva Convention. So it's when you have that happening, do you think that the more NATO countries, members of NATO countries, acknowledge what Turkey is doing as a NATO member in trying to provoke incidents, and also supplying the people that are being most brutal, do you think that's an important message to get out from Syria with these incidents that are happening?
Of course. Everyone up there in Europe or America or everywhere in the world should know their own governments and their deeds. They are just supplying everything to these so-called rebels or moderate terrorists, whatever. They are giving them everything, every single thing to destroy us. And I think that this is a great message in order at least people to be able to protest against them, to do anything, to go to hearing sessions or to do anything, because madness is being committed here on this planet, and at the end everyone is going to pay the bill. It's not only us. By the way, Syrian army is defending the entire globe. Before Russia came in and intervened, we were the only entity that is fighting against those terrorists. The others, either standing aside or clapping hands or cheering or something, but we paid a lot of blood. Our army and us as civilians paid a lot, actually. So people must do something. This is my message.
And it's important that people hear that message. In the UK, the government put forward a vote to have airstrikes against targets in Syria, and they were refused because so many people had mailed their representatives or their members of parliament or anybody official who they could think of, and that was enough for that not to happen. So when people are there and they hear what is happening and the price that people are paying, it is important that they can do something, and that they can talk to people, that they can take the words that you're saying and engage people in conversation, so they can really know what's happening on the ground. And in terms of Turkey and the Erdogan government, in Turkey, there's been a NATO program called Operation Gladio, or the Erdogan Network, which there's been a couple of telephone calls that have been put out that have been intercepted, where Turkish officials are attempting to engage in what's known as false flag operations on the Syrian-Turkish border. Are you aware of the Turks trying to provoke any incidents in Syria as a NATO member? Because it obviously, with the aircraft that went down, it looks like Turkey are being quite provocative. So do you think that that they're doing that in other ways, trying to provoke other incidents?
Of course. They spent the entire Syrian crisis since 5 years, every day, every single minute even, trying to provoke any incident. They kidnapped a high-ranked officer in the Syrian army, who is retired, by the way, and he has disease in his heart and his kidneys. He has failure in kidney. The Turks kidnapped him along with his family, and they started to say that this high-ranked official in the Syrian army went out of Syria in order to be against the regime. And they, afterwards, they killed him, by the way. And they, every day, commit a lot of atrocities against those refugees in the Turkish camps. And I am so happy, by the way, that those poor Syrians who've been stuck there in this camp in Turkey, they found their way to be in Europe. At least in Europe it is more safe, and there is humanity there. While in Turkey they used to subjugate people and rape women and enslave people there. A lot of atrocities actually, and videos tears the heart away. And their role, I feel like their role in this zone is to be provocative, those Turks.
I was just gonna look at it from the point of view is, if you have a NATO ally, which is Turkey, behaving provocatively, then I think it stands incumbent. It is a responsibility for everybody in the NATO countries to look and see exactly what is happening with Turkey and the effects on Syria. And you mentioned the Russians being able to stabilize the situation. And you also mentioned the S-400. And that's quite an important element of what Russia has brought to Syria. So has that made people more secure, knowing that they have a very advanced missile protection system, courtesy of the Russians, to make sure, hopefully, that the situation doesn't get any worse?
Yeah, the people are being counted down now, but we also are very sad for such tragedies all over the world. In Tunisia, in Paris, this pilot being shot while he was parachuting. Everything is just making us more sad, actually. But at the same time, we are more feeling secure by the existence of Russia in the first place. Secondly, of Russian intervention here. Because Russia is sincere. Russia is not actually that kind of colonial power. Everyone knows that Russia gave and the independence of all the Soviet Union countries, when this Soviet Union dismantled, Russia just gave them this paper of independence, and she did not actually insist on them to be under its wings. Unlike America, you can find in each square, while you are trying to look at the Earth, at the miniature of Earth in front of you, you can see these squares, the altitude and latitude. In each one, you find an American base. While we don't see this as for Russia, the only base, military base of Russia is now here in Syria, in Latakia, only.
And so, when you're mentioning the military bases and the base in Latakia, am I correct in thinking that the only country that Syria has asked for assistance from at the moment is Russia? Everybody else is doing it without the permission of the Syrian government.
Yeah, of course. We did not give them any permission. The European countries and America, they did not ask us, and we did not approve, and we actually raised a lot of cases in the Security Council in order to correct this major mistake that was taken by these countries. Only Russia is permitted to help us, and in the coming future, Iran and China, along with the North Korea, by the way. They are preparing their troops in order to come and make here bases in the Mediterranean Sea, in front of Latakia, I mean. So the others are not invited.
Okay, and that's something which we're often we don't fully appreciate that in the Western countries, where we have a very, very, very biased media on the whole. You mentioned Al Jazeera a little earlier. Al Jazeera operate out of the United Arab Emirates, and they're also quite closely linked to Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, which are obviously in very close proximity to Syria. And there have been reports that the Saudi Arabians and the Emirates through Jordan have been supporting mercenaries. So are there lots and lots of mercenaries in Syria? And are they supported, do you think, by some of our closest allies, supposedly our government's closest allies, the Saudi Arabians?
The Saudis, actually, they have audacity that reaches the sky. They put it on their media as announcements to recruit Afghanis and Pakistanis and anyone who wants to be in the Saudi army, between brackets. I don't know why do they call it a Saudi army, why it has no one who is nationality is Saudi. Anyway, and they brought all of these mercenaries from Sudan as well, for both of Syria and Yemen, and they are destroying Yemen right now while we are talking, and that is since about 4 months till now. They keep heaving these missiles on Yemen because the international law, maybe, or the Security Council, the Arab League gave them the permission to bomb Yemen. And no one in the world is believing that Yemen is being hit by Saudi, by the way. People are dying every day and night in Yemen. A direct contact, direct sorties coming from Saudi and Emirates and Jordan towards those Yemenis people. And do you know what the pretext of this insane war against Yemen? That they are infidels, they are kafirs, if you ever heard of this term. Kafir means infidel, the one who does not believe in God, in their own God. Saying that they are Shia, while there is a lot of Sunnis, Shia, Christians, they are mixture there in Yemen, just like us. Maybe our mixture is more broader here in Syria. We have more sects than others in the entire Arab world. But these people who are dying now in Yemen are, after all, human beings, I guess, and they deserve not to be killed that brutal way.
And again, that's the Saudi Arabians who are predominantly doing the damage in Yemen, and there's very, very little of what is really happening in Yemen that is really coming through to the wider world. And do you think that that how much of that is due to that oil factor? Because you mentioned the pipeline. How does that look from your perspective when global powers are paying interest in parts of your country?
Actually, dear, Qataris, Saudis, and Turkish people want this Syria, want us, want our land in order to build this pipeline from the Arab Peninsula to cross Israel, then Syria, then Turkey, in order to sell this oil, the Arab Peninsula oil, to Europe and to the rest of the world. Here, what Bashar Assad wants or wanted, and he agreed on this point with the Russians and the Iranians and the Iraqis, to build another, or not, I mean the original one, the original pipeline that we should own as Syrians, to cross our land by our own free sovereignty. Not to make them take our land and cut it into two halves and just build this stupid pipeline of theirs. No, we want to build ours, our one. In order to sell this oil and our own oil, plus the Iranian natural gas and the Russian one, to the rest of the world. Now, here comes America. America is against Russia, of course, and it's a very original enemy of it. Supports its own allies in order to prevent us to be able to build our own civilization and to live our very appropriately, and to, as people here put it, to rise up from this land. So they want to take out Assad because he refused to sign this contract, this pipeline of the Arab Peninsula, and he insisted on building our own. He said to them when they came here in 2008, he said, why should I give you this contract? I don't sell nor hire my land. I will build my own pipeline. And he just refused this whole contract. So they went furious, and they just don't want him igniting sedition against him because he is Shia, not Sunni. Look at this stupidity. And some of people here actually believed these lies and went against him just because they want freedom. And those who Senator John McCain calls them the fighters of freedom. Yeah, that's it. So this is what the entire story about the pipeline. We want our own pipeline to be built by our own hands, while the Saudis and those Gulf people want to steal our land and build to make their own pipeline to go through our land.
So, and in Syria, I presume that you're able to see that type of blatant theft, I guess, with what's already happened over the border in Iraq. You can see that Western use of either religious divide to try and sow enough discord, confusion, war, that they can take control of the oil, which is obviously something that Assad was looking to advance the country through.
Yeah, and actually you remind me about something. In the very beginning of this year, 2015, we discovered a lot of oil wells in our coastal region. They say that estimately, they say that it is more than the Saudi Arabia oil, about 15 times more than their own oil. And I think that they knew that by the, maybe the satellite or something, I don't know. This is why they want to control Syria. And by the way, they promised those idiots who call themselves the Syrian opposition, who are seeking the division of Syria, they said that we will give the coastal area to the Alawites. By the way, our president is Alawite, not Shia, if I may. Okay. But after they discovered that the majority of the oil of this area, of this zone, is located here in Latakia and Tartus, the coastal area, they declined. They, out of all a sudden, refused to give this, even if this is all just a blathering, by the way. They did not divide Syria yet, and they won't. And they just decided to give this area to Sunnis, to themselves, I mean. Maybe you don't understand this composition of the Syrian opposition, because it is actually ununderstandable, because they prefer to go and live in Turkey and Paris and everywhere else other than their own land. And from out there, they start to lecture us about freedom, about living in dignity, and I don't know what else. From out there, they lecture us, actually, instead of coming here.
Yeah, and they often have the mentality that business is good because it can help your country. But when you're already in the process of doing that and having that, it must seem rather galling, I guess, and rather clear for you there in Syria to see different countries or different places taking interest in your homeland for economic reasons. I mean, for example, in the south of Syria, there's the Golan Heights, and we've had reports here that there are investors like Jacob Rothschild and Rupert Murdoch who have financial interests in oil companies that are already selling prospective drilling rights in the Golan Heights. So is that something that is on people's radar in Syria?
Actually, ever since I heard this, about 1 month ago, I got sick. And I mean it. I got dizzy and I did not feel well. And I don't want to talk about the Golan, please, because that bleeds my heart.
Yeah,
but it's true. Yeah, it's true. They took shares in the oil of Golan. Yeah.
And I guess it's something that when people feel that they'd like to know a little bit more, they can have a little look into some of the things that are happening right there. What do you think that the people out here in the NATO countries, in America, in Europe, in the wider world, what do you think that we can do in terms of being able to get the word out to people from the ground in Syria, in terms of what's really going on with, you mentioned Saudi Arabia and Turkey and American and French bombing. What do you think is the most important message that people need to hear?
I have plenty of messages. Oh my God, what can I tell? I don't know. But I think that things are getting too late now. I don't like it when Russia gets furious. They put the wrong tiger in the eye. And I think that now it's time for them to pay the price. And I don't know. I don't know how to formulate a message, actually. I'm just sad. I'm feeling badly, actually, about what might happen. And I just hope that the war may not ever, never broke off. And my message is that I love everyone. I love everybody out there, no matter who, no matter where. Just love us and send to us your love.
And it's in a lot of that's lovely words, Sonny. Thank you very much for that. And it is really important for people to remember love, and the understanding, the compassion, the way that love actually links us all together. The more ways in which we can understand and communicate together, then the harder it must be for oil companies, for NATO to be able to convince people that violence solves the issue or the problem with war. I mean, it's like somebody hitting a child saying, "I've told you 1,000 times that hitting people doesn't solve anything." The answer to violence is never more violence. And I can't remember who it was who once said, you have to trick people into going to war. You have to convince people to going to war. You have to give them a good idea, a good story, a good way of making them scared, so that they go to war. And when people are loving towards one another and they don't want to go to war, hopefully it makes it much harder for different oil companies, different investors who sit in the City of London and Washington DC and in the banks in Geneva, who essentially profit from that, who are that detached from real people that they think of war as a business, the oil business, the arms business, the so-called reconstruction business. With those kind of things stacked up, in terms of what is trying to push people to war, the more people can be loving and stay strong, then hopefully the less chance there is of crazy people being able to blow up more things.
Yeah, can I say something quickly? Oh, are you trying to speak something?
What?
Are you cutting in and out?
No, it's all right, Sarah. It's not. It's just Sonny's light. It's giving feedback. We're not getting audio feedback. It's just a light. Don't worry about it. Don't look at it. Just listen.
Okay. So I wanted to say something anyway. Yeah, I just wanted to say that people are people all around the world, really, aren't they? You know, and the more travelling you do, the more you realise just how very similar we all are and how very basic we all are, you know. All people really want to be able to do in life is to get up in the morning, spend breakfast with their family or whoever, go about their daily day-to-day life, follow their goals, follow their dreams, be able to go home, spend time with their family, spend time with their friends, spend time with their loved ones, you know, and that's about all really that people really everywhere around the world want to do, and that's all that people, you know, really are around the world, you know, and it's one way or another, somehow different people from different cultures have been kind of demonized by certain people, and a lot of people have found it quite easy to see these other cultures as demons, demonized, and that makes it easier for them to kill or to see them be killed or to turn a blind eye to the violence and the atrocities that are going on around the world by demonizing of another race or another culture. Or it even happens on a smaller scale within a country or within a region or between schools or between offices, you know, with all this competitiveness as well, you know, and it's really, people have got to realise and start realising that people are the same all over. They just want peace, really. They just want to be able to get on with their normal everyday to-day life. The majority of people, yeah, they would like riches, but they wouldn't kill for riches, you know, and people need to recognise that and realise that and not be sucked into these games and it is a game with others' lives that they are playing, is being played, you know, and it does need to stop, really. It's the repercussions of it are absolutely horrendous for people, especially in places like Syria right now, you know, and I just really do think that it's about time that people did actually realise and stop demonising, stop arguing about silly things that don't matter. There's no reason at all to kill a child. There is never a valid reason to kill a child, ever. And you know, that's as plain and as simple and as black and white as it should be, really. And when it's not, it's really who are we looking to rule us? Who are we looking to take these positions of power that are taking these decisions and that people are going along with? You know, and people are actually debating whether it's okay to be blowing countries up or whether it's okay to be doing this or okay to be doing that. How can anyone think that there's any reason for it to ever be okay to kill a child?
I don't know.
I just don't get it. So I just think that people need to stop demonizing each other, you know, and just accept everyone as individuals and as one and as humans. And rehumanize the world, you know, see people as living human beings again rather than as something that they're not related to in any way.
And sometimes it's easy to just pick up on understanding something from very little knowledge. I mean, a lot of people hadn't heard of Syria until Syria literally started blowing up in the world's face. So I know Bashir al-Assad, the current leader of Syria, has been there since the year 2000, which is about 15 years. And before that, it was ruled by his father since 1970. So I just wondered, just to give the people who've only recently heard of Syria, I guess, a little bit of background. How has the country developed since Bashar al-Assad's father passed away, and he's been leader of Syria?
Actually, this Syria was famous of the coups, the coup d'etat. Every couple of months there must be a coup, and they get this president out and some other president comes. Every that day actually I reviewed the history of Syria, and I was astonished that 3 presidents in only 1 year, that is too much. But when the father Assad, came to the presidency, he actually did not come from the throne or being actually given the permission by some king or some other kind of leader in the world. No, he emerged from the people themselves. He was one of the rebels against the unfair situation that was there back then, and he led the revolution of the 8th of March. Actually, it was about 1963, and after 7 years, he was elected as president, and he turned Syria into actually a paradise. I don't know what to start. He actually made something that is very related to the regime of here in Syria, that everything is related to the constitutional system. The education is for free, medical care is for free, everything is for free. You can eat anything you want or wear whatever you want with almost nothing. In relation to prices, everything was available, and Syria could stand up from the wreckage, actually, because I told you that after French people left us, we kicked them out, by the way, and a lot of presidents came to presidency. They failed, but Hafiz Assad actually united us, and everyone loved him. I was a child, okay, but I can remember my family, I can remember my school, everything. When he died in 2000, everyone in Syria just rushed out to streets, crying the great loss of Hafiz Assad, and they started to call for Bashar Assad as a president. And
would that be because I guess Hafiz Assad, the father, he must have overseen the country developing a lot, as you mentioned, education and healthcare. So did people hope that his son would continue in the same way as his father?
Yeah, I think so, and he did. He made Syria move to a higher actually level in comparison with the previous leader, because everything keeps changing all the while. So we got, for instance, a lot of companies. We refused here in Syria the Rothschild contract to control our central bank. We are excluded from the list of Rothschild owning banks all over the world, by the way. And he made Syria is the only country in the whole region with the budget is zero. The budget is zero as a country. That means, yeah, you are a rich country. You have no debts. You are not lending money. You have no loans, no debts at the same time. So actually, he developed the country very well, and by the end of 2008, a lot of new projects came up. Everything just available, and I don't think that anything you could not find in Syria by exporting and importing the oil here, the cotton, the wheat, everything we had, we exported, and we made Turkey. We did for Turkey a lot of favors, by the way, in order to entice them to come to our camp. You know, it is called the resistance camp, as they like to call it. But Turkey deceived us, and right from the beginning of the Syrian crisis, Turkey turned its back to us and betrayed us. So I don't know, although it is a neighboring country, but we failed to entice Turkey.
And you mentioned that not only did Bashir Assad carry on from his father developing the country, but also that the books were balanced. So there was no national debt, there was no deficit of payments, that Syria was a profitable company.
Yeah.
A profitable country. Do you think that the troubles that have been happening in Syria was partly to stop making Syria profitable, and maybe to put the Syrian people into debt so that the bankers could come in and take advantage and try to buy Syrian resources?
Yeah, I think so. By the way, any foreign firm might want to come here and invest here in Syria. They should be subjected to the Central Syrian Bank, sign contracts, guarantees here in the Central Bank and our bank, not to Rothschild Bank or the International Bank. We are not related to them, by the way. So even this millionaire that is called the Saudi one, called Al-Walid bin Talal, he came here and built Four Seasons hotel here, and now it is ours. We did not steal it from him, but according to the contract with the Syrian Central Bank, it turns to our own. By the way, as I am telling you, we are not. We did not con him. So this is the kind of Syria was here, and will still, of course, hopefully. We always open our doors to investors to come. We welcome anyone, but they should be liable to our own terms.
Of course, the other thing with Syria is it's a very, very rich country in terms of its history and its culture, its ability to, up until just a few years ago, have Alawite, Shia and Sunni living relatively harmoniously. Has some of that art, some of that history, some of that culture, how has that been affected by what's been happening in Syria?
Actually, we've been a lot in help because of the sedition and those sheikhs of fitna. I don't know whether you recognize this word fitna. That means a sedition, a sectarian war is not to be achieved unless you make some kind of sedition. Who took the role of igniting this sedition? The Saudi channels, by the way. They keep opening channels with sheikhs sitting in these channels, just calling for jihad, calling for killing Shia, calling for killing Alawite, killing Christians. Jews are infidels. I don't know what else. All the while. And people who are weakened from deep inside of them and with some ignorance will of course follow such blathering, and of course they will go to follow such gangs and armed gangs. This is what happened firstly in Syria. Some gangs just with some guns from Jordan and Turkey, and they started to kill innocents. They invaded whole villages and killed people. Now, people are divided into two, let me say, categories here. The very highly educated and unfortunately, the ignorant people who are illiterate even. So, this is what happened. Those sheikhs on the channels keep saying day and night, kill them, go kill them, you are going to enter the paradise if you kill so and so. And they are actually distinguished sheikhs. Unfortunately, me myself was actually astonished when I saw some of them saying these things, until I realized that they conduct some kind of magic upon you in the previous era and start to give lectures on TV and talking in very smooth way in order to make you charmed by them. Then when they tell you go and commit suicide, you are going to commit suicide, as easy as that. This is related only to ignorant people. I don't know, actually here education is for free. I absolutely guarantee this for you. And people just refuse to go to schools. I don't know why. And then people started to, the governments, Western governments, especially Hillary Clinton and her tirades, if you remember, saying that what is going on in Syria is unbearable and Assad must leave. This is what first she said. While in the meantime, we Syrians used to go out and supporting Assad, holding the Syrian flag and his photos. Millions of Syrians actually in Homs, Damascus, Suwaida, everywhere supporting him. Those channels, those Gulf channels and Saudi channels were blinded from those marches to support Assad, and they only put lights on the few who are protesting against him. And of course, I can't tell you how many videos were forged in order to frame the Syrian army or the Alawites of killing people. I saw by my own eyes men slaughtering a little girl, those from the rebels, and someone was photoing them without them being aware. Then after they slaughtered her, they held her up and told the other guy to start photoing them, to tape them, I mean. And they started to wail and curse against Assad, saying that a bomb from the plane came on this poor child and slaughtered her. and the girl was slaughtered by a knife. This is what happened in Syria, actually.
And so with that kind of propaganda and with that kind of, I guess, provocation to get people to fight each other, what's been the change in the increase of lawlessness in Syria over the last few years? Now, how many more people are coming out on the streets and causing trouble and inciting people to antisocial behavior?
No one. Since, let me say, for more than 2 years, actually, when ISIS came up to the existence, and those gangs like the FSA, the Free Syrian Army, and their the atrocities they committed, they killed people and ate their heart and liver. So then people started to realize that they are going through the wrong path. So they just understood what is going on. I'm talking about people who are here in Syria. Then the FSA, these mercenaries, with other, I can't count to you now because there are too many. There is Fatah al-Islam front and Al-Maghawir front, and there are too many to be mentioned here. When people realize these are just gangs, armed gangs who are slaughtering and igniting sedition, they retreated and they just get back home, and they understood the game since 3 years maybe as tops. Now you don't see anyone who is protesting or provoking problems or anarchy or anything at all, because we understood the conspiracy.
And so I guess once people are aware that they're really just like gangsters functioning in their units with, I guess, the protection, extortion or whatever, then people no longer think that that's a way to get a better country.
Yeah, of course. They are now hoping for the best in order to rebuild our own country.
And you mentioned earlier a little bit of education. What is the standard of the free education that you have in Syria?
PhD, except for foreign languages. I'm not hearing you.
I think we're having problems hearing you, Sonny. I'll hand over to Max now.